Hello everyone, welcome to our final go-to session of the month for Writing for Games. I'm Dr. Toph Eklund. Today we will just be taking Q&A about Choicescript and other questions people may have, either about assignments or just about the topics of the course in general, anything like that. I don't have a Let's Play game lined up for today, so once we get through anything that you want to ask about, we'll wrap this one up. So, to begin with, Laura, Richard, either of you anything you want to ask about?
I actually wrote down my questions ahead of time. So with Choicescript, how do we play the game we write?
Okay, so I'm showing my screen right now. Right now I've got right here, this folder has in it the contents of the my Choicescript control folder has everything that's in the Choicescript web folder. I renamed it, but I keep this folder along with a Choicescript test folder on my desktop to take a look at things and for illustration, like in this case. You can click on the index HTML file. You can open the HTML in the web folder, or you can go into My Game, where there's another index.html file. Open either of those, and it'll open your Choicescript. Um, this
Okay,
one,
I think there's a problem with mine. When I tried that, because I followed the instructions
ah,
to see how to test, mine comes up as a script error.
okay. What browser are you using? Are you using
I'm
Safari?
using, yeah, and then I tried it on a different computer and it did the same thing, but I think
Okay.
it's just Safari.
Well, here's the thing. This is Firefox. Firefox allows local use of JavaScript by default. Um, in Safari or in Google Chrome, you have to specifically enable it before it'll let you run JavaScript, which is Choicescript is based on, from a local file. Meaning JavaScript will run on a web page that's hosted off the server somewhere else, but for security reasons that honestly don't make a lot of sense to me personally from my understanding of the programming concerns, by default it won't run local JavaScript files. Um, this is actually covered in this week's lessons, but it can be easy to kind of miss, especially until you the first time through. It's like, what the heck is that? So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. Won't look at anyone's grades here. Just it. The advanced use of choice script activity talks a bit about advanced techniques, but also talks about some of the things you need to do to uh, to to successfully create your choice script, including talking about ways to edit the script using text edit. This is lesson 4.5, and here are the JavaScript settings and cartoon web browsers. You can use Firefox. You can even choose to download Firefox just for this assignment. Or you can change the settings in Safari or Google Chrome so you can run JavaScript locally. 2A here covers the instructions for Safari, which is the browser everyone's computer has on them. It's on all MacBooks. And 3 covers the Google Chrome instructions. Um, I don't particularly recommend Google Chrome because the way Google Chrome is set up, it's actually kind of a pain to do this. It's actually not that difficult in Safari. In Safari, you can just go into Preferences, select the Advanced tab, click on Show Develop Menu in Menu Bar, and then you go to the menu bar and select Disable Local File Restrictions. That will allow local JavaScript files to be run as if they were coming in over the internet. To do this in Google Chrome, you actually have to use the command line. And you have to do it pretty much every time you want Google Chrome to run a local file. It's a pain. But yeah, this should fix your problem right there. Lesson 4.5, Section 2 in web browsers. Again, you can use Firefox, or you can change the settings in Safari. You may want to choose to change them back afterward, but this is not a particularly risky thing to do with your computer. Most of the places you might actually run across JavaScript that's going to try and take advantage of your computer will be online. I think the only risk factor here is if you go to a particularly malicious website, it might, in the course of running malicious JavaScript, deposit some on your computer that can then have a negative impact even after you close your browser. But again, the crowdsourced browser Firefox does not consider this to be risky enough to be worth even having an option to block it. You can turn off JavaScript in Firefox if you want, but there's no specific block local JavaScript files. So, does that help?
It helps a lot. So when we test our choice scripts and we come across a script error, how do we figure out what the problem is?
Okay, so when you go into your script, let me break this one for a moment, okay? I'm going to, let's see, just delete this asterisk right here. And now I've opened this in TextEdit, which is the default text editing application on Macintosh. If you're going to use TextEdit, as explained, it's in the first part of 4.5, you have to make sure TextEdit is set to save as plain text, not rich text. But I've just removed the asterisk that makes this a command. Now it's just a line of text. Let's see what happens when I try to open it. In this case, it appears as a line of text in the game. If you see things like that, it's like, oh, well, I broke it. And you know where it is. You can see it on screen. You know where that corresponds to the file. Now, let's break it in a different way. I'll make this command now a command that does not exist in Choicescript. Startup line 28, non-existent command, create. This is the key here. Almost any error that is actually going to create an error bubble like this is going to give you the line the error is on. That is the line in the file. If we count down, we're going to get to line 28. Now, counting down becomes increasingly more of a pain. This is why you may want to download a dedicated scripting editor. Like here, this is Text Wrangler, which is just a text editor. It's not very different from TextEdit, but it is designed primarily for editing code. One of the main features of script editors, they tell you what line number you're on. So if I'm using Text Wrangler, which is free, and there are instructions on how to get it off of the Apple App Store in the lessons, then you can immediately just go to the line where the error is, and you'll know, oh, the error is somewhere in this line. One of the things that as a script editor, script here specifically in the programming sense, completely different, well, okay, mostly different, greatly different from the screenplay sense of a script, is that script editors like this don't wrap. No matter how much I type into line 28, it's just going to keep on going. Why is it doing that? Well, this is a terrible way to try and read text if you're writing fiction. But it keeps all of this in line 28. So anytime I get an error, I know that it's in this line. It's not wrapping over, because then, what is this, line 28 or 29? Oh yeah, Text Wrangler isn't quite as automatic about how it saves files. You'd have to specifically tell it, save as startup text, replace. After that, Text Wrangler will know that I want to save this one to startup. But the way I dragged it in here, as opposed to using the open command, I wasn't sure if I wanted to save that file as something else. So it was basically trying to keep me from accidentally saving over a file I may have only wanted to look at. That's another kind of programming-friendly feature. Okay. If you get errors that cause your Choicescript to not run, and they're not either about local JavaScript permissions, and they don't have line numbers given, that's a good point to directly contact me for help. Any follow-up questions from that?
Nope, you answered my questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. And don't feel the least bit chagrined about there being stuff that's on the platform that covers some of this. A lot of it is hard to figure out until you actually see it done. I have, over time, added all these things to the platform specifically because they were common issues. And what probably I need to do, I've got these tutorial pages of screenshots. I need probably to go from having these sessions, and still have them, of course, but to create some more video tutorials that specifically walk through each step. And even so, I know there'll be people who need to see it done. I mean, directly in the context. It's part of learning. Laura, Richard, other questions?
No, I'm still learning, so I think I have everything so far.
Okay. Here's the thing about Choicescript. It's a little bit like Twine, in that with Twine, the hardest part was getting started, except that the scope of this assignment, because it's really a very small assignment, you need to have 5 branch points. It's 5 places in your little Choicescript where the player decides between at least 2 different options. Actually writing the scene, once you are comfortable editing Choicescript, is going to be really easy. What I recommend is going slow. Don't attempt to write the whole thing and then see what errors you get. Write a little, make a couple of changes to the template file, and then test it with index.html and see if you get any errors. That way, if you get errors, you'll have already a limited sense of where those errors could possibly be and what they could be. This greatly decreases the likelihood that you'll have to basically toss out a whole section of work, hours of work you've already done, and start over again because you can't figure out how to debug it. And remember that anything that's machine readable files, programming, it is mostly accurate to say. I say mostly because programming compilers can be programmed to read over certain things that couldn't possibly be anything but a specific, to basically interpret things that don't exist in the programming language as not being there. But pretty much with programming, and even the lightest of scripting, a single character wrong will cause it not to work. This is, the kind of, this is the place where not only grammar, though a simple and completely consistent set of programming language grammar, but also proofreading is absolutely essential. In any of the sections that are code, a single typo can break your entire game. Keep that in mind if you going forward, not only in terms of what the challenges of writing for games are, but if you're writing for games and you're not actually getting into the code, often game coders have to get into some of the scripting language, at least a little bit. Even if you're not, that's what all the people all the software engineers who are coding the thing have to deal with. So yeah, Anyone have any questions that aren't specifically about Choicescript? At this point, all of the game design documents have been returned, and additional grades and feedback will be coming out soon. If anyone, including all of you who may be watching this later, as opposed to live in the session, have questions, please do ask. I'm available. Email and FSO all the time, if not always, for an immediate reply. And I can easily make appointments for people who need one-on-ones. So, okay. We've been here barely 20 minutes, but like I said, I don't have a Let's Play game lined up for today. So I'm going to throw it back to you, Richard, Laura, if there's anything else you want to ask about or anything else you want to talk about, and then we'll wrap it up.
I'm sure I'll think of something as soon as I close this, but
Understood.
right now I think I have it all covered.
Okay.
Do you have any tips, like, for the indie game maker? Like, where's a good place to put the game out? Is there a favorite place?
It depends on the context. There are definitely places to go. If you are creating the game in Twine, you can look at Twine hosting sites like philome.la. Oh, let me put that in the chat so anyone looking at this can see. Actually, make sure I get this right. No, low. There it is. Philomela. There we go. That's one way you can host your Twine online. What you really want to do for any indie game is find a community, and there are many communities. There are interactive fiction communities. There are people who simply create Twine. If you're working with Choicescript, there's an active and supportive forum that's on the Choice of Games site. And Choice of Games will publish to mobile platforms and PC completed Choicescript games. The details are not quite that completely straightforward. But right here, the Choice of Games forum not only does it include stuff about their games, but also there are stuff in here about how to do Choicescript, including here's an interactive tutorial, in addition to the tutorial that gave you the kind of Choicescript in Choicescript guide to Choicescript technique. And so if you want to do stuff with Choicescript, start here. If you want to do stuff with Twine, there are Twine groups. You can always start with the Google search. There's also for some reason my internet's really slow right now. There's ModDB and IndieDB, though there was some shakeup with that, which are basically DB since it's for database. There was sort of forums / collections of stuff about game modding and game creation. There's TIG source. I don't know why these things aren't loading. TIG Source is the indie games source, and the forums for the indie game source include tons of indie game developers who are posting about their games and posting progress reports and asking each other questions, giving each other tips, and asking each other, like, what should I do? Will you take a look at this? That kind of stuff. Um, and yeah, okay, I don't know why, but those aren't coming up right now. Okay, looks like my connection here is still good. I have no idea what's going on right now in terms of getting websites to load. I've got email coming in, and I'm still live here. But those are all worth looking at, and I can put some of those links into an email. Actually, I can do? I can include them with the archive of this session when I upload it. That's probably the best place for them. Anything else?
Um, a while back, I don't know if you've heard of RPG Maker. It's a
Yeah.
new game making platform. I
Uh,
don't know how much you know about it, but that's what I'm choosing to make my first indie game, which is a parody. So I was
okay.
wondering if you knew anything about like how to like if Dropbox is the best way for something like that, or if I should try to get it on Steam as just a freebie.
Okay. First, if you can get it on Steam, that's great. Second, there are other places you can get it as well. Uh, Dropbox can be a good way of hosting very small things that you want to share with people. If you're actually sharing your free itch.io, yes, thank you, Richard. Itch.io is a very accessible, very indie friendly, very cool community as well. Let's see if my browser's behaving now. Okay, now it's working. You can get yourself an itch.io page easily and for free. If memory serves them, their whole system is such that really pretty much they're monetized entirely through a share of revenue for sales made through them. I think you can get a developer page and make a game available for free there. It may be up to a certain size or something, but at no cost to yourself. Uh, there are also all kinds of indie news outlets. Actually, indie games. That's not it. It's indie. Oh, that's not what we do. Oh, there it is. IndieGames.com publishes all kinds of indie games news. Contacting someone there once you got a complete game. A lot of websites were happy to cover, stuff that readers may be interested in for free. The one I started to pull up before, Indie Game Stand, is another indie-focused sales site, but they also have this whole forum now for free games, and I think if you've got a free game you want to put up there, I think it's actually pretty easy to get that included. I think there is some vetting process, just to make sure that it's not like malware, but or perhaps something that is broken. But you get another resource. Oh yeah, and since you use the RPG Maker, um, is it indierpgs.com? There it is. Yes, indierpgs.com is another indie game news and review site, and I know that Craig Stern, who does almost all the content for it, is not only dedicated but also is happy to showcase free work. With fair warning, if he actually reviews your game, he will not be cruel, but he also won't hold back. Uh, so, uh, oh, Pathway. Sorry, this is a game I'd heard about some time ago and hadn't realized. Oh, it's not June. It's June. I wonder if he's been updating less recently. Yeah, he hasn't updated much. He's updated in a month. I don't know. It's possible he's running out of steam. After all, trying to keep a site like this going by yourself is a huge burden. Um, but you know, there's some. Itch.io is definitely possibly the best place to start.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
you're very welcome. Okay, take care, everyone. Again, when you come up with questions, including not just about the assignments, but also about applying the stuff in the wider world, and where the opportunities are, how to get your stuff out there, who can help you, please do contact me. Hope you're all well, and I will. I hope I will be hearing from you. Take care, everyone. Bye.